Hello, I'm Kevin Wenning, host of the Employee Art Program. This video is to speak to those of you who are photographers and you're cell phone photographers or you're amateur photographers. You know that there are a lot of people in your company who are professionals, and you know that their art is just amazing. They exhibit, they're either a painter, they're an artist, they do printmaking, and of course you want to see their artworks on the walls in your office. But you look at your photos and you think, I don't know if anybody wants to see these, or you think maybe they're not good enough quality to represent and to exhibit in your office. This video is to talk to you about how I take those images and make them ready to print and to display in your offices. So let me take you through a few of those images. These are photos that have been submitted by friends of mine, all shot on their cell phones, and things that I took and made something that they wanted me to print for them. So this one is in the dunes of Ergshebi, which is in southern Morocco, and Aziz was our bike tour guide for a 2-week tour through Morocco. Definitely not a photographer, but a cyclist, and he shot this on his Samsung camera phone. So this one I really loved. Obviously got the beautiful line up the dune here, and then as a lot of cell phone photography does, it got soft here in the background, which if you're shooting on a professional camera, you might even see the same thing where you've got that nice blur in the background, bokeh we call it. But in this case, I felt like it didn't really lend itself to the photo. Like if I were to print this, it wouldn't look very good because you've just not got a lot of separation between the dune and the sky up here. It looks a little too soft in the background. So added a little bit of texture to it. And this is a typical trick that you do when a photo is a little bit soft or it has a lot of noise in it. So in this case, I added a texture that I felt enhanced the overall feeling of the image. And I pretty much left the front part of it alone. I added a little bit of clarity down here just to separate the lights from the darks, which is what clarity does when you're editing. Just make those pixels, the dark and the light pixels, separate a little bit more to draw your interest in. And then up here in the top, I really left the texture intact. And I felt like that made for a really nice artistic feel to edit the image. His next image was, again, beautiful just like it is. However, again, on a cell phone, ends up a little bit soft, especially when it's dark out. It's really hard to get a good exposure on a cell phone. So I could print this like it is, but I'd have to print it really small to look good. So if we want to enlarge it, meaning that it's 20 or 30 inches on the long side, I've got to do a little bit of cleanup to it. So I did two different things. Number one would be make it dark. And so if you look at the original, it's got some artifacting there in the front where you've got that dark part of the dune. If I were to print that, you're going to see a lot of really splotchy gray areas and then black areas right next to each other, so that wouldn't look good. So even it out by making it a little bit darker, and then to balance it out, add that dark area of interest in the sky as well, which personally I think looks really nice because we give it a color pop as well. So that's one way we could take it. The other would be leave the sky alone. It really is nice like it is, but then soften the front with a frequency separation edit. That probably doesn't mean anything to you, but just means that we blur all those pixels together so that when I print it, we remove that splotchiness from the JPEG, which just has some artifacts in it. So a couple of different ways we can go there. And what I'm really talking about here is when you submit an image, I'm not just going to make a decision for you unless you want me to. I'll give you a survey where you can submit the image and then tell me what types of styles you like. Do you like something that's really colorful? Do you want me to convert it to a black and white? Do you want me to make an artistic edit to it, which means kind of cross-toning the images like this, taking the orange sky and making it pink? Do you want me to add a painterly effect to it? I'll show you a couple of those in a second. So it's really up to you. The overall idea of the Employee Art Program is you submit the photos, we display them in the offices for up to a year, and then it's your photo to either display in your office or take home with you. That's pretty much it. So I want these to be images that after they're printed, you personally enjoy them and you want to keep them around for a while. So it's got to be an edit that you yourself will enjoy. So next image here, here's a really good example actually of adding a really heavy edit to an image to clean it up. Very interesting because of the legs of the camels here, and that immediately grabbed my attention. Well seen and well photographed, but we've got a lot of tire marks and footprints here on the dunes in the background. So it really looks like a snapshot like it is, but the camels really are my point of interest here. The dunes, not so much. So we did a couple of different things with this. Added a really heavy texture to it to get rid of all that noise in the dunes, but keep your focus on the camels in the foreground. So really heavy color edit, but I kind of like this one. The one that I probably would print would be this black and white version of it, where we add that kind of vintage textured feel to it. We still keep the interest on the camels, but we lose all of that noise of just the mess on the dunes in the background. So that's the one that I like of that. Again, this would be up to you to pick, I like the color version or I like the black and white version. Let's print this one. This next one is from my friend Drew on a bike ride that he took through Colorado. This is just north of Leadville, Colorado, and it's called the Copper Triangle. This is a place that we go do a nice bike ride in the mountains in Colorado. So he sent this one to me and said, can we print this as a panorama? He shot this as a pano, stitched it together on his phone during a bike ride. And of course, the interest here to me is that fog in the valley there really grabbed my attention. But I know he shot this on a bike ride, so he wants to keep that road in that's on the right-hand side. So I gave him a couple of different options. Number one was this, where we basically just got rid of the noise on the left-hand side where there's really nothing going on over there, and you got that pole, so we got rid of that, and then kept the road. I really couldn't do much else with this as far as the tones, but I really didn't need to. It's a nice image just like it is. And we ended up printing this just like it is at 10 inches on the short side, 40 inches on the long side, and printed it on metal, which really made that fog down there in the valley stand out really nicely. The other option that I gave him was this, which to me, again, focusing on that fog. I really like the fog. And if you notice, I took this, got rid of the road, of course, and then I got rid of the power lines as well. So if you look down there in the middle of the photo, you got a bunch of power poles running through there. I got rid of those to clean it up. He wanted this version with the road in it. Totally understandable, because he took this on his bike ride and he wanted to remember that from his bike ride. So if I were to print this for myself, personally, I think I would go with this version. But again, preference. This is from my friend Shauna. She's a flight attendant. Took this on the tarmac one day when she was waiting to load up on that plane. Beautiful photo. I love this really just like it is, but it's too small. This was something that she downloaded off of her Facebook page and sent to me. Nice image, but if you're going to submit a photo, try and submit the original photo off of your phone, off of your device. Ideally shoot in RAW if you can. It gives me more flexibility with editing. But if you're going to send me a JPEG image that you shot on your phone, send me the original from your phone, because it gives me more to work with. It'll be a larger image. When you send me something that came off of your Facebook or your Instagram page, it will already be compressed. It will have lost a lot of the data information, and I won't have as many options for editing it. Pretty simple. So I did two different options with this. One was creative edit. Went with something where it flattened out all the tones, added a little bit of a color pop to it to get rid of some of the noise to it, something that I can do when I enlarge it. And then the other option was leave it as a black and white, smooth it out. So you'll notice that a lot of the noise down here on the tarmac, as well as in the plane itself and in the sky, I tried to clean up. So when you look at this one, probably can't see it real well here on my screen, but there's a lot of noise in the sky and a lot of noise down there on the ground. So when I cleaned it up, tried to keep the clouds up here in the sky as much as I could, because those are interesting, but flatten out the rest of it so that when I print it, it comes out real nice and clean. We don't have a lot of that noise in the print. Next image, this again from Shauna from her Facebook page. Great image, just like it is. I really didn't want to do anything to this other than make sure that we can print it in a large format. And minimum that I try and print these is 16 by 20 inches. So I wanted to make this large enough that I could print it 20 by 30, and it came out really nice. However, it did flatten the sky a little bit when I had to enlarge it. So this would just be a call of, do you want this small or do you want it large? In general, if you have something that is that's got a lot of detail to it, you want to print it large, or something that's got a big point of interest, meaning landscape. If it's something that's small, you can get away with printing it really small, and that will look pretty good. If it's a leaf, if it's a flower, if it's any kind of small details, if you've got something that's grand, it's not going to feel grand if you print it really small. If you printed it as a 10 by 8 or an 11 by 14, it's not going to have that feeling that you want. So that's why I wanted to print this at 20 by 30, just get the sense of the size of the landscape and the bird and the tree in the landscape, which is why I wanted to go 20 by 30. This again, an image from Shauna in the desert in Dubai. Really noisy image when she sent it in to me, so I did two different options with it. I'm going to show you this one first. Smoothed it out. The point of interest here really is that horizon with the soft setting sun and the nice clear horizon there in the sky with no clouds in it. So I smoothed it out. I'm not really in love with this one. This was about the best I could do to enlarge it. This could actually look good as a small print though. We could get away with doing this one as an 8x10 or 11x14 version. But if you want to enlarge it, go with something a little bit more noisy. Still kind of keeps the feeling that we were going for, but the brush strokes in there of making it kind of a painterly look gives it the interest that you're looking for and gets rid of that noise when you blow it up large. I would probably print this on a canvas. I think this would be beautiful. And then the final image from Shauna was this, which again really grabs my interest. Wow, I mean, this is the kind of spot where you stumble across and you're like, oh man, I really got to get a good photo of this. But if you only have your cell phone on you, still take the photo. We can make something work. The buildings to me were really distracting. So I wanted to get rid of the buildings and really just keep the interest, of course, in the umbrellas, which is the point of focus here. So it did this, which is a vertical panorama, and I like the way it came out. Honestly, when I cropped out the buildings, we've still got the weight of the umbrellas here at the bottom of the image, so it feels right. And then we got some airiness and space up here in the top, added a glow to the ceiling to get rid of some of the noise that was in the ceiling and really draw your interest up there anyway. I wanted the brightness at the top of the image to create that visual interest that your eye goes to versus feeling like it's so heavy at the bottom of the image. So that's why I added the glow. And then I did a different version, which I think this is the one that I would print, and added a pencil sketch to those brighter areas to just get rid of some of that harshness of the glow. I felt like the bright glow is a little bit too much. It makes your eyes just tire after you've been looking at it for a few seconds. So I added that pencil sketch to just even everything out. So those are my examples from friends that were sent in to me from their cell phone. If you don't think that you have excellent photos, or you know you're not a professional photographer, but you've got that photo in your phone that you've always been, every time you scroll past it, you're like, wow, I wonder what that would look like if I were to print it. Send it in. That's what this program is for. You don't have to be a professional photographer or artist to participate. I'll take care of that for you, and together we'll decide on what's the style that you like. All right, Kevin@employeeartprogram.com. Email me if you want to have a conversation offline. We can go back and forth about this. Ask me any questions you got. All right, hope you participate. Be well. Cheers.